Hi everyone, my name is Scott. I'm here with my startup Signcar this week. It's kind of a unique position for me because I bootstrapped my last venture that went on to be rather successful. And so it's kind of hard to talk about because you kind of want to sound like you know what you're doing, but at the same time not be arrogant sounding. Next slide. So one can say I've made mistakes. That's me on the wall talking with the paramedics. A little background is obviously there's signs in cars, and then there's an Uber app there. Next slide. Now the story that goes behind this, I was told was sort of inappropriate, so I'll share that with people who want to later. But what it boiled down to is that local businesses are basically separated from their target markets because of the evolution in the way marketing has gone, more and more online, more and more with SEOs. And local businesses that don't have dedicated teams to keep them relevant can't keep up with big box chains or ubiquitous web organizations. Next slide. So Signcar was designed and morphed to be the interface between businesses that would best be served by the old-fashioned yellow pages and connecting them with today's customers that can't seem to stop looking at their phones. Next slide. The first iteration was basically taxi signs on steroids. Basically, you have 3 screens. They're live video. They would have sound capability outside the vehicle. One person asked me, why would it be valuable? And I said, well, you remember the ice cream truck. You could hear that thing 2 blocks away, not like I would want it that loud. But also, you can stream the ads one after another for up to 4 consecutive hours. So the ability to market more than one company's products is quite valuable. Next slide. Obviously, if you make a better sign, we have 11,000 plus taxis in town. We have 150,000 rideshare vehicles, and then minimally 30,000 additional commercial vehicles that can use signage and branding. Next slide. In working with this, and I've been working with it for virtually 2 years, multiple iterations of the signs, 5,000 rides with people, hundreds of businesses that I've spoken with. What we've come up with is basically you're going to need fleets of vehicles and a central advertising system to pass out the message to the various vehicles. The various local types of businesses that can use us, obviously, but 2 big notes here is obviously in Las Vegas we have a special market in that we have a tremendous convention volume. It's 58 million visitors just for conventions. Some of these exhibitors are spending $500,000 on their booth space. Obviously, some additional push marketing to send more traffic past their booth will make that investment more valuable for them. And of course, we have an election this year, and there's going to be more than ever spent on election advertising. And all of those are things that are actually quite valuable in this type of market. Next slide. Since the last time I was here, I found out I actually have competition about 10 days ago. Firefly has just finished their Series A. They got almost 60 million so far. Google Ventures is the big player in it at this point, and then quite a few others. Next slide. What I like is that shows basically smart money showing that this is a market that needs to be developed. I don't agree with the way they're doing it so far, which is excellent because what I'm doing is different, and I think it's much more valuable. When I was a kid, they told us, sell the sizzle and not the steak. And I asked them, why not just get a steak that was worth talking about? Next slide. By linking the vehicles and the advertising in various metro hubs and then linking it together in a digital presence, you can cohesively link the entire package together and make it to where you have a marketing model that spans the globe. Next slide, please. Right now, obviously, we have millions of drivers that are interested in this. I get called daily when I'm running the signs, how do I get this? Firefly people are all over the internet asking how they can get the signs. Firefly's stumbling rather hard on actually rolling out their product. So there's a lot of frustration and people are all over the place going, hey, how do I get this? Vehicle manufacturing is down 3.3 million vehicles in sales this year. And then we actually have vendors that are actually targeting the gig economy. Next slide, please. Locally capturing the SOM, which is 5% of 180,000 commercial vehicles, should make 540 million annually, 121 billion globally before tangential revenues and retail revenues. Next slide. Obviously, it's a scalable and duplicatable system, and it actually is exponentially less expensive the more it grows. Next slide. Of course, it's a grandiose dream and everything has to start with a first step. So the first step being Vegas, next slide please, would be to set up the entire system and show that within this market, which is a small market, but at the same time it's large enough, that we can generate a working model that's actually profitable and shows that global expansion is worthy. Next slide please. Future behind all of this, there's quite a few strategic alliances and tangential revenue streams, and hypergrowth is completely feasible. There are struggling startups. So there's a lot of people that will say that we're the Uber of this or the Uber of that. I look at Uber as a broken model that never did work. This by itself could be the one missing ingredient that could actually fix a place like Uber. I'm not saying that it will, but it could. Next slide. Of course, I'm excited and I'm ready to move forward. And I'm looking forward to working with Startup NV to make it happen.
Thank you. Awesome.